Thank you. Well, thank you. It is wonderful to see so many good friends. First of all, I want to thank Michelle for the wonderful introduction and great story that she told. I want to thank Tim Kaine, who has been not only an outstanding leader for us, but one of the best governors Virginia's ever had. Give Tim Kaine a big round of applause. I understand we've got thousands of people online, so I just want to say to all the folks online, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And I want all of you to know right off the bat how much I appreciate what each and every one of you has done. Not just for me, but for the country. And many of you were on the front lines in our campaign. Some of you from the very beginning, making phone calls and knocking on doors and trudging through the frozen fields of Iowa. You didn't know the snow was moving this way. We can handle it. You staked your reputation on some guy that nobody had ever heard of. Couldn't pronounce my name. Some of you got involved in a campaign for the very first time. In some cases, you just got involved for the first time in a very long time. Because you believed that we were at a defining moment in our nation's history. That your voice could make a difference. And not a single day goes by when I don't think of the time, the energy, the money, the undying faith that you put into a campaign that wasn't just about winning an election, it was about changing a country. Last year, we asked you to take on something new. We asked you to help us make the promise of a campaign a reality. And I know how hard many of you have worked in your communities to do that, either as part of Organizing for America or simply by talking to your friends and neighbors, your co-workers. What you do matters. It's made the successes of the last year possible. It's because of you that we were able to uphold the principle of equal pay for equal work. It's because of you that we lifted the ban on stem cell research and began restoring science to its rightful place in America. It's because of you that we extended the promise of health care to 4 million children who didn't have it. It's because of you that we passed the strongest veterans budget in decades. It's because of you that we protected families from getting ripped off by credit card companies and children from being targeted by big tobacco and responsible consumers from the twin plagues of mortgage fraud and predatory lending. We appointed Sonia Sotomayor to the Supreme Court. We passed a service bill named for Ted Kennedy that's giving young people and not so young people new ways to give back to their community. We've begun working with Congress and our military to finally repeal the law that denies gay Americans the right to serve the country that they love because of who they are. That's what your support has helped us do here at home. Abroad, we've begun a new era of engagement. We're working with our partners to stop the spread of nuclear weapons and seek a world free of them. We're working with other nations to confront climate change. We banned torture. We're rebuilding our military and reaffirming our alliances. We've begun to leave Iraq to its own people. We've charted a new way forward in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and we've made progress in taking the fight to al-Qaeda across the globe. I went to Cairo on behalf of America to begin a new dialogue with the Muslim world. And we are living up to a moment that demands American leadership by standing tall alongside the people of Haiti. So in ways large and small, we've begun to deliver on the change that you believed in. But the reason you and I are here tonight is because there's so much more work to be done. On the day I took office, We confronted a financial system on the brink of collapse, an economy bleeding 700,000 jobs per month, a $1.3 trillion deficit, and 2 wars that were costly in every sense of the word. The solutions to these challenges wouldn't be quick or easy, and sometimes they wouldn't be popular. We knew that. But we decided that we were going to govern. We decided that we were going to lead. We didn't have our finger out to the wind. We weren't reading the polls every minute. We decided that we would begin a long and difficult journey to get this country back where it needs to be. Because of the bold, swift, and coordinated action we took, we can stand here today and say we prevented another depression. We broke the back of the recession. The economy that was shrinking by 6% a year ago is now growing by 6%. So the worst of the storm has passed, but all of you know from what you see in your own lives, what you see in your neighborhoods, what you see on the job, is that a lot of devastation remains. Many of you are seeing it in your own communities. Shuttered businesses, foreclosed homes, friends, neighbors, family members who still can't find work. And on top of all this, you've got the underlying challenges that middle-class families were dealing with for decades. For 2 years, I traveled this country with you, and everywhere I went, I heard stories of folks who were trying their best to hold it all together while working harder and harder for less money. We heard families sitting around the kitchen table wondering if a secure retirement was even possible, if a college education was still achievable, if the climb of health care costs would ever stop. We heard people wondering if the dream that generations of Americans had built and defended was slowly slipping away. Those are the stories that caused me to run for President of the United States. Those are the stories that led you to support me. Those are the stories that lead us to do every single thing that we can to create an economy that hasn't just recovered, but where hard work is valued and responsibility is rewarded, where businesses are hiring and wages are rising, where our middle class is getting stronger and feeling more secure. Now, our most urgent task is job creation. That was our number one priority last year. It's our number one priority this year. So we'll give tax breaks and loans to small business to help them hire new workers and raise wages and invest in new plants and equipment. We'll put even more Americans to work constructing clean energy facilities and upgrading our infrastructure for the future. We'll create incentives for consumers to make their homes more energy efficient, creating jobs and saving families money. And it's time that we put an end to tax breaks for companies that are shipping jobs overseas. We need to give those tax breaks to companies that create jobs right here in the United States of America. But the truth is, these steps alone won't make up for the 7 million jobs that we've lost over the last 2 years. Those steps alone won't make up for the economic insecurity that middle-class families have lost over the past decade. The only way to do that is to lay a new foundation for long-term economic growth. The only way to do that is to finally confront the problems that Washington has put off for too long and that we've been talking about for decades. Now, here's the deal, though, folks. This is where change gets hard. When you start going after the real hard things that have been holding us back for so long. This is where we start running headlong into the lobbyists and the special interests. This is where the bitterness and misinformation that has come to characterize so much of our politics starts rearing its ugly head. I know some of you might feel discouraged because changing the ways of Washington is hard. It's harder than a lot of you thought it might be. Sometimes it may make you feel like that it's not possible. You might want to give up.
We believe in you.
Don't give up. I don't want you to feel discouraged. I want you to understand that it just means we got to push that much harder. It means that we've got to keep up the fight.